Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 36 of the 9 Dart Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. Lorenzo and Josh back again for yet another big show and a big week. Josh, double 18 is my favourite double, so this should be a good episode.
I hope so. Very well. Very well. It's been a good weekend. How you been?
Yeah, I've been all right. There was a bit happening this week in the world of darts as the European Tour wrapped up. The German Darts Championship was a good tournament. Hillside, a good venue. I don't think it's on the Euro Tour for next year or on the calendar for next year. So, but it's been a long-held venue for darts with Pro Tours and European Tour events there. And yeah, we've got a field now for the European Championship, which is this weekend.
Discuss that a bit
the
later
next
on.
big tournament along the way as they just keep coming along.
Keeps rolling. That's right.
It was a good European Tour. I thought it a relatively good European Tour over all the 14 events we had.
Yes, I agree. And this weekend there were some very interesting results, I've got to say, which we'll get to in the sort of positive surprises and a few notable ones. But overall, yeah, it's pretty good. Lots of good performances. And yeah, I've got to say, just overall, people thrived. We'll talk about one man who thrived for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Very good.
It was a big weekend for Dirk van Dijvenbode, who I said at the start of the year as one to watch is who might have a big year, and he's had a better back of the year. Here he is hitting his first big stage 9-dart finish using the John Lowe method of 6 treble 20s, treble 17, treble 18, and double 18. Dan Dawson going mad again.
Look at this commentary.
Look at that crowd too.
Very good crowd. Where is it? I had to put that in, some clapping, and that's a fantastic sportsmanship moment.
Absolutely.
As it should be for every 9-darter.
It should be. 9-darters are hard to do, and they're always amazing, especially in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, great crowd. Look at that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Hildesheim, they pack it out in Germany, as we know. Big stage 9-darter. Hit one on the, mentioned earlier when he hit the one on the Pro Tour that he's been trying different methods and struggling a while to do it, but now it's all sort of clicking for Dirk van Dijvenbode. And not to spoil anything, but he might show up in my predictions later as one to watch.
So you probably think that method of treble 17, treble 18, double 18 is a very... You don't really see it too much.
No,
usually
it's a rare one. Treble 20,
12,
it's 60, 57, 24. But no, it's a good way to go on 141.
There you go. Well done.
As I said, John Lowe method, the first man to hit a televised 9-dart finish, did it with that method.
So that's something crazy from Jan van Veen, who hit the big fish. He reeled it in. Well, hello. Resets himself.
This was the last leg he won in this tournament because he didn't pick up any of the next 4.
Bang.
After hitting the maximum possible finish and the highest out of the tournament. What else do we have here? Oh, yes. Going price in exhibitions is extraordinary. 116.61 average. He had a similar one when he played Humphreys earlier in the year. It's when he's off that stage and there's no one completely in his head is when he can really play top quality darts.
9-0. Like Humphreys averaged 93 himself, so he was pretty good. But 116 over 9 legs, that's just incredible.
Absolutely.
I don't know. We don't have like the leg breakdown or anything, but I'm assuming you'd have some 11, 12 dart legs in there. Yeah. Maybe he was on a 9. We don't know.
What have we got in there? 4 weights to throw, 11 tons, 9. I assume that's ton plus finish. If that's 9, if all of them are ton plus finishes, that's ridiculous. 4 180s.
180 there. Breaks.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a few weird metrics there, to be honest.
I'm not even sure what half of them even say. I'm just reading these for the first time. Yeah, but anyway,
same.
Look, it was it's what Going Price can do, and hopefully he'll show some of that this weekend, and he may very well do so. But Nathan Aspinall was the winner at the German Darts Championship on the thumbnail in the title. Red lights around the podcast studio here with Nathan Aspinall picking up his 3rd Euro Tour title of the year. I'm pretty sure it's 3rd. So beating, we saw Van Veen there go 6-3 up, but Aspinall clawed back. He beat Dirk van Dijvenbode, 9-dart hitter in the final. Also beat Jermaine Watermainer, who had a couple of really strong performances this particular weekend.
Very good.
Steve Lennon and Ross Smith as well, coming through as a non-seeded player as well, which has been difficult to do this year. We've seen a couple of guys, Nico Springer probably most notably, get in there as well. I'm going to bring up something later that I haven't put on the rundown or on the Canva, but that just saying Nico Springer reminded me of something.
Okay.
But Look, Nathan Aspinall, strong weekend, and look, you got to have him as someone who could potentially threat this coming weekend because he's met in form, and we were saying off air that his throw at the moment is looking as good as it's pretty much
Silky
ever
smooth.
has been.
Absolutely. After those 2 9-darters last week in those Players' Championships events, he just looks fantastic. He looks rhythmical. He approaches the oche in a really calm, collected way, and he just looks absolutely fantastic at the moment. So he's in some really good form to watch, and this weekend really proved that to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Is he one that could potentially still be in a Premier League conversation if he has a couple of deep runs later this year?
That's
the
true.
8. I said the 8 last week was pretty set at the moment. And there's only really a couple of guys, Van Veen, Aspinall, maybe Damo, but he probably needs a winner tournament to make a final.
He lost against Steve Lennon 6-5, but again, you just can't get over that first hurdle.
Damon Hedder seems to be in a habit of losing matches. He really should be winning. But anyway,
fair play, Steve Lennon, though.
Yeah, no, that was well done, Steve Lennon. He came through Jeffrey de Graaf as well in that first round, so he had a good weekend on the European tour. Is he one that could maybe be a late challenger for one of these guys? James Wade is probably the one that is the least marketable, the least wanted by the PDC of these guys.
Yep.
So if they're going to knock out anybody, it would be Wadey.
Well, he was fantastic in the UK Open, was Wadey for sure.
Yeah, really all year.
Yeah, all year he's been good, but yeah, Aspinall's sort of just saying, I'm still around, sort of thing. Don't write me off just yet.
When you look at ranking money won in this 2025 season, so after the World Championships, the World Masters would have been the first one in this tally. He's 9th in the world, behind only Clayton, Humphreys, Wade, Price, Bunting, Rock, and Van Veen. So he's in the top echelon at the moment.
He is.
For sure, Nathan Aspinall, and he had a strong weekend, 103, 107, 110, 93, 99, almost 197 averages all the way through. So some strong early performances in particular, which set him up for a great weekend.
Showing that 3, that's his third championship on the Euro Tour.
So no, it's been his year on the Euro Tour, and he'll be the number one seed for this week's upcoming European Championship, which is all, of course, based on that European Tour. We had some high averages this weekend. Jermaine Watamina had 105, 107, and 111 average before particularly dropping down to 85 because that's what Jermaine does. Dirk Van Dijven about 117 against Chris Dobie, averaged 105 and got beat. It was an interesting weekend for, some players. Someone like Stephen Bunting averaged is basically on 100 and lost to Ryan Joyce. And then you look elsewhere in the bracket and go, had he played this guy, probably would have beaten him there, maybe. But you look at the Danny Nopper game where he got through averaging only 88 and a half in that bottom party, got to a quarterfinal again, Danny. So he's really turned his form around on the Euro Tour when it was nowhere to be seen in the early part of the year. But in terms of our positive surprises, Dirk Van Dijven is the big standout of the positive surprise because he's made a European Tour final. Both finalists this weekend have come from the first round, which is a very good effort for all involved. And look, it's good to see Dirk win. He is one of my favourite players. He's got that terrible walk on, which is still I find very amusing. Who was he playing? He was playing Sedlacek in that first round, who sort of started giving it a little bit of this on that walk on. But look, it's marketable, it's knowable, and he keeps showing us these glimpses of what he can do, Dirk.
Are you saying you're not a fan of techno hardstyle music? Not really.
Well, not really, but I'm happy for him to keep this as his walk. A lot of people go, no, change it, Dirk, this is awful. I think it crosses the line where it's so bad, it's good. It's sort of like Pac-Man or the old video games where you get too far to one side, you pop out the other. Yes. That's what that song accomplishes with the Dirk Van Dijven walk on. But anyway, on his darts, it was a very strong weekend.
Very good.
And sort of what he needed after a sort of disappointing. He didn't really do much in the first half of the year.
Yeah, I agree. No, he was great. Good to see. Good to see him get up and about. Look at that photo. That's great.
Yeah, he gets reanimated into it, which you gotta love. And how about James Bailey on the ANZ Premier League? We'll talk a little bit more how that night went overall, but we could not mention James Bailey, who was destined to be the one cut away, struggled to win anything. He made a final on the Canberra night, which was something.
He went all the way to the final for and lost to Ben Robb, which we'll talk about. He was the winner of it all. But yeah, he was very surprising. We sort of said he'd probably been that sort of bottom 2 of it all when we sort of had a big preview of it all. But he's just sort of hanging around going, I'm not the easy bit of the competition, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just going to prove with this ANZ Premier League, you got those quarterfinals going to be so important because anyone can beat anyone if they show up. So show up for that quarterfinal and get those guaranteed 2 points. And sure, winning the night is good. And you'll want to win a night, of course, but just get through, and that opening round will be the most important thing. Of course, as we see in the Premier League under this current format. Michael van Gerwen didn't win enough first round matches in the early part of in that Premier League, so he didn't make finals tonight. So that's the most important part of the night, those quarterfinals that open up.
Yeah, he won against Brody Kling with the 93
Yes.
average there, 5-2, and then went on to beat Raymond Smith, who's the title favourite potentially, as we know,
Pretty much,
5-3,
yeah, title
89
favourite.
average, and then lost to Ben Robb 5-2. But yeah, he was very impressive. So, yeah.
He slowly built.
Maybe
He
he's,
couldn't win a
not
leg
easy
when
bet.
we were there,
Yes,
and
when we were there at Melbourne, which
once
was
we
great.
got once we were out of our town,
Yeah.
he's built. He won a few legs, and now he's won a couple of
Yes.
matches.
Well,
So
it's been
we'll see what James
Newcastle,
Bailey
now
will
Canberra,
do.
and he'll be in Hobart this week.
Does that make
so
him favourite for tonight? He went from no legs to winning some legs to winning some matches. Does he win the entire night in
Who
Hobart?
knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
We'll find out. Time will tell.
But there were some interesting numbers this week on that European tour going back, and Rob Cross only averaged 83.83. He has really struggled this year. He started this year top 4 because he was guaranteed into the Premier League right from the start. Where is he? So I need to have a look. So I'm going to get a couple. While I get up some metrics on Rob Cross, how have you seen his year so far? Because he just hasn't really got going.
No, he hasn't. Well, obviously, Premier League area, and then from there, he's been, getting knocked out sort of first, second round. He hasn't really made any long runs to quarterfinals and finals at all. But again, as you said, 83.83 average in his loss. Just disappointing. Just wasn't really hitting doubles against Cameron Menzies, who was Menzies rather 96.86.
It looked a bit better than Cameron Menzies now. That technique seems to be a little less radical. So currently. On the year-to-date order of merit, he's 26th in the world.
Okay.
On the current world rankings, in effect, he's still the world number 7. But there's pressure from guys. I mean, you look at the guys beneath him, Chris Dobie, but even further down, Josh Rock, Danny Noppert, Gerwin Price, then Damon Hedder, Gary Anderson, Jan van Veen's 15. You'd say a lot of these guys are playing better than him at the moment, it must be said.
Probably
and on the
accumulating more prize money as well.
World Championship rankings, the tour card race, he's 21 in the world, in between Dave Chisnell and Dimitri Vandenberg, neither of which are able to really qualify for a lot of these events at the moment. He's not in the Slam as of yet, so... so he's just had a real hash of a year at the moment, Rob Cross, and he seems to not really be getting anything going. His timing just doesn't seem to be there at the moment, Voltage, which is disappointing because he can be a very quality player, as we know.
He can be.
The former world champ.
Absolutely. At his best, he is very, very good. But we'll see how he goes for the rest of the calendar year, really, in the next tournament. So.
He has squeezed his way into the European Championship. You feel that the changes they made at the start of the year to get the top 16 in the world seed has probably helped in that. If it was off the old Pro Tour, he wouldn't have been able to get through. I was disappointed to see Andrew Gill. Disappointed was probably a bit harsh, but he just got knocked out in the end. He's only 1,000 pounds out, and again with the Pro Tour side of things.
Close.
He would have been, maybe had that format been in for the European Tour, he probably would have been in, but just narrowly missing out there. And Richie Hare was disappointing because I really like Andrew Gilding. I think he's a great watch.
Big thumbs up.
I love the thumbs up celebration on the 180. And so there was a little bit disappointing to see Andrew Gilding miss out there. But I don't think that will... Hopefully he can still have a strong back end of the year Gilding for what we know he'll be able to do. Where is he on the end of year rankings for what it's worth? Oh dear. He is 31, so
31.
He's sort of towards that back end of that top 32, which is probably fair enough at the moment. He's actually ahead of Michael Smith in the on the
Blue
tour
boy,
card race, which is... Which says probably more about Michael Smith than it does about Andrew Gilding.
Yeah.
Now, the great debate this week, you sent this to me, but I'd already listened to this podcast. I listen to it every week, the Mission Darts podcast, with Andy Cornwall and Matthew Edgar, 2 former professional players. Cornwall was on the Pro Tour for he did the UK Open, and that was about it. But Matthew Edgar, of course, was there for a while, consistently hovering around the top 64 in the world. Sort of mark just above that, so he was always in the middle of the field, though Matthew Edgar must be said, he's a kind of player. You can give him just about any dart in the world, and he can throw. He's hitting trebles.
Well, he's at Portsmouth this week.
And he will be at the Motor Super Series this week. Great return. See prime time there. But yeah, Andy Cornwall said some harsh things about my man Stephen on the Mission Darts podcast, which is a great listen every week. It was actually interesting because they actually don't talk a ton of darts on that podcast. It's usually stories about times they were on the Pro Tour, what they've been filming this week for the main Mission Darts channel, which is very good. I'd recommend the Rate My Hockey series in particular is a great watch, and to see them Cornwall and Edgar complain about their philosophies about how you score. I mean, the way Cornwall goes about it, I don't necessarily agree with all the time, but it's still a great watch.
Yeah.
this is what he said about Stephen Bunting. I'm not surprised at all. He stands in the wrong place. Standing 2 foot to the right is ridiculous. You're never going to be consistent. Stephen's never going to win multiple majors. So the debate here today is, does Stephen Bunting stand in the wrong place? I know my views. Josh, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of players that don't do the traditional stance. Like obviously, no Gilding. He approaches the yoke and then goes 2 steps to his left.
Yeah.
We know some players.
He's the other extreme from the other way, but he doesn't go all the way out to the left. But
exactly.
he's a couple.
We know players actually stand a bit back from the yoke as well. I know Lisa Ashton, notably, she stands a fraction back from the yoke. I know probably some other players do as well. But I mean, is there a right or wrong way to go about it? That's really the question that's been asked here. Is there?
Well, there's probably an extremely wrong way to do it with this, right? But I don't think being out on the corners has changed that much. I mean, look, Stephen he's one number 4 currently. He's one number 4 on the tour card race. He's in the top 10 in the world on the that year to date automatic reference. He's 4. Oh no, that's the live one. Where's the year to date? He's 6th on the year to date for most money in ranking events. He's back in the Premier League. He's won World Series events this year and European tours. He's actually had a slightly more consistent year than usual for Stephen, because in previous years he'd be rarely picking up titles, or he'd be still getting to majors, but he wouldn't be coming up. But we're seeing him make a few more deep runs now. So look, to be fair, he was playing with 12-gram darts a lot and sort of resisted to make the change to 18, which made more sense. But I think that moving to the 18-gram darts make more sense than him just completely switching to the middle of the oche. Even though it can be said sometimes when he goes low, he sort of stands in the oche, and more often than not, he can find the treble. So if he could stand there if he wants to. But I think Stephen, he knows his game obviously better than anybody else, and I don't think where he stands in the oche is too much. The thing with Stephen is he's sort of like Chris Scott in a way. He keeps running into these Titanic great players and Chris Scott with the great team. So obviously Phil Taylor was the dominant force when he first joined over. Then Michael Van Gogh, and then Gezi and Peter Wright were fighting for that world number 1 spot for the time, and now the Lukes are there. So he's never been the best player in a certain time slot, but he's not been that far away. So the reason why he's never winning multiple majors is probably more down to that more than where he's standing.
Playing opponents that are pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it wasn't mentioned here, but you know how his foot is like this?
Yeah.
Not like this. Do you reckon that plays a part of it? Because I've tried it and it just does not work for me at all.
That's the what feels comfortable for you.
Just
and that's
preference.
also going to be the big change. If he was to move, all of a sudden he'd have a completely different look when he's throwing. When there, I know, the people who are taller tend to stand front on, and shorter people like me tend to stand side on. Again, it's a comfort thing. Look, a lot of the players, their throws, they look very different. So Bunting look very different to a Michael Van Gogh, who's lurched down all the way down here.
Yeah,
but the release point, and there are many things about throws that are actually quite similar among the top throwers if you know where to look. But I don't agree that Stephen being all the way out to the right-hand side is necessarily the reason why he's not picking up as many titles as perhaps he could be.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively harsh comment, because obviously, being in the Premier League, that's number 1. That's pretty good. Obviously, he underperformed as such. Like, that's a pretty fair statement. But yeah, I don't know. It's just fascinating, because he has shown some really good stuff and some average stuff as well. But we'll see how he goes in the back end of the year. Got the Worlds coming up, got all these great events that he's qualified for. So
yes,
imagine if he wins, a big major, then it'll shut him up, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. That would. I reckon there's a great chance he might do that, Josh. He may very well end up doing it before the year is out. I'm really hoping.
Absolutely.
So I said at the start of the year he'd win a big ranking major, and unfortunately all the Lukes keep checking them up. So look, non-Luke surely got to win a tournament at some point.
Surely.
So who knows where it could be. Look,
good to see Stephen.
Yes. Right. There. On the GDC side of things.
Got a future star this week.
Well, I've got GDC Super 16, a couple more events. This is Turgle from Mongolia. Remember him? He was back, and Arthur Alston won 2 more Super 16 Open qualifying events this weekend, which will see 2 players eventually advance to the big stage of the Grand Slam at darts. So many of these JDC opportunities are getting you the opportunity to play on the big stage in Milton Keynes and Leicester and Wolverhampton, and obviously the big one at Alexandra Palace for their World Championship finals. So Turgle won the final 5-2 in this was event 5 of the Super 16, but beat Ben Towley, average 85.47 in
That's
the
solid.
final.
Very solid
Completed
numbers.
victory with 15-dart break. He kicked off the leg 180-140 as well to win the
hard.
match, which is pretty impressive. Big
Very
Callum Ryan
impressive.
4-2. Arthur Alston won 5-3 against Drake Potter, all-English semi-final lineup there as well. Averaged 92.49 in the semi-final win. And do they put a number here for the final? It's probably here somewhere. I've probably just ended up missing it, or he might not have even been there. But he clinched the title with a 1-on-1 checkered as well, Austin. So another big week in the JDC. And there were other. Turgle also won Event 7, beat Lewis Cook in the final, and Alston as well in Event 8. So they picked up a couple of titles each along the way in the Super 16 Open qualifying events that were on this week.
Very nice.
And they're in finals week, which is the 1st to the 2nd of November. So they're already in it, but they bagged a couple more titles each. Yes, Ben Robb was the winner on the ANZ Premier League third night. And how are the Kiwis doing? They've both of them picked up titles,
Johnny
and the
Tata,
Aussies are
Ben Robb,
lagging
yeah.
a little
They are.
bit. But this is how his night panned out, beating Johnny Tata, who has not quite delivered since that opening round. Hasn't won a game yet, so JT maybe in a little bit of bother. Tim Husey, who again just laps up the crowd wherever he goes. He's getting them very much on his side. But how about those numbers? 103.38. That was easily the best performance we've seen so far. It was just a beauty to watch Ben Robb go about it against Pusey in that semi-final, then beating James Bailey, who was a positive surprise after not winning a game so far. But yeah, Ben Robb, I mean, you could look at that semi-final performance in particular and say, well, he didn't deserve to win the night. It was extraordinary what he was able to do on Saturday, Josh.
Very, very nice. Very consistent. Very good on the doubles as well, from what I was saying. So, yeah. Very impressive. So, the New Zealanders, or the Kiwis, are sort of carrying the Aussies at the moment.
13, 14, 14, 13, 15.
Wow.
Were the legs that Ben Robb were able to wrap up, and only a 21 data from Tim Husey sort of spoiled that along the way. So great effort from Ben Robb. Tim Husey below his best in that particular match, but he was blown away by what Ben Robb was able to do, and after becoming the last man in this tournament, winning that top 16 DPNZ qualifier on the Monday before heading over to Melbourne for that famous Saturday with where we attended, of course.
Good fun.
It was him that picked up the title, and if we go,
there's just a little wrap up.
So that's the overall night as it was. Raymond Smith as well as Tim Husey also picking up wins again. Raymond Smith getting the better of Simon Whitlock. And as we look at the standings, first of all, I love this graphic from this guy on Twitter, to have the Kangaroos as the Aussies and the Silver Fern as the Kiwis. Looks fantastic. So the top three have won nightly titles, or perhaps not surprisingly, on top. Sense. So Ben Robb on 10, Ben Robb 7, Johnny Tata with the 5 points he won in Melbourne gets him third. Tim Husey, who's been probably the most consistent player, who's only won a title. He's on the 4 points, and then Simon Whitlock and James Bailey next on 3, and Brody Kling and Joe Camito's out the bottom on 2 with a -7 leg difference. You know how tight this Premier League is when Joe Camito and the quality he is already qualified for Alexandra Palace.
Absolutely.
Is not there at the moment. So that's where we stand after 3 nights. We're basically halfway as of this weekend, but more than halfway basically through the main regular season. Because once this Hobart is done, what have we got left? We'll have the one in New Zealand. Is that in Wellington?
Yes,
it's in Wellington. Gold Coast, Brisbane, and there's one more I've missed. Adelaide, of course. Adelaide, of course. So I think it goes Hobart, Adelaide, Wellington, and then it goes to Queensland. So yeah, it's heating up a little bit already. It's already flown through when you think about it. But yeah, Smith, Robb, Tata, and Husey are there. We both had Smith to win it, of course, so he's currently sitting on top of that. Neither of us had Ben Robb making it. You had JT.
I did have JT.
And I had Pusey.
You did have Pusey.
And you didn't. So
I just had Whitlock coming in as well. He's on that fringe. But the most notable one is James Bailey jumping from dead last and 8th to 6th.
6 and 1 point behind.
Yeah, he's in that mix there.
Yeah, so next week, let me, it's actually on this last slide. Actually, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to jump all the way. That's the darts archive. We don't want that. Here we
No,
go.
not
So
looking.
let's
There we
go. Night 4, Bailey
Down here,
Kamito.
yeah.
That's an interesting match between two guys further down. Kling Pusey, Robb Smith,
Ooh.
and Whitlock Tata. So
Those are some nice ones. Good,
yeah, it's good matches. You feel like every match is going to be so important with how
Yes,
tight this
absolutely.
table is,
Yeah.
particularly between like, let's see if I can go back to it, 3rd and 8th or something. It is just very, very close. There we go, slide 16. Yeah, between really, even 3rd to 8th is separated by, what's that, a win and a semi-final, a final
Appearance, yeah.
appearance.
Pretty
So
much.
yeah, it's just so close at the moment, and we're really none the wiser about who is going to be. I mean, Raymond Smith probably looks like the one that we can almost say for sure, but I wouldn't lock in Ben, Robb, Tata, or Pusey at the moment for this, and I wouldn't rule out anybody either. Even James Bailey, if he can just plot away a couple of those first round or quarterfinal victories, he could be there as well. So.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a fascinating finish.
It has been, yeah. Well, the first 3 nights definitely has been. So, yeah, we'll do from here. We'll find out.
And once again, like we said in previous weeks, the Canberra crowd filled out, pretty much full on the on the floor and sparsed in the seating area. Though it was the least ticketed night, it still looked pretty good.
Yeah,
So I know Adelaide was one of the certainly better ticketed events that we come out. So we're interested to see the crowd there. A reminder: it's the first time this tournament's been run, and it's been the least time to market it. So.
Yeah, exactly. True.
It hasn't been a bad start, certainly for the ANZ Premier League. And the
Good
darts have
start.
been watchable, and we've had, a few good performances from Smith and Robb in particular. Robb from the semi-final last week. So I'm looking forward to see where this tournament goes, because it's still very difficult to predict who's going to be the 4 on the final 9 in Brisbane.
So we forgot to mention Owen Binks also did a game.
Yes.
A couple games actually, which is good. So shout out to you, Binksy. Great bloke. So yeah, he got caught up on the day before actually. So he's been training spotters, as we know from our talks and interviews with him. So good to see him there. And he'll also do this week. So
Yes. Okay. So that's good.
according to my source.
Yes.
Which is me.
Yeah, exactly.
So good to see. It was very good. Very sharp.
Yeah.
As always. One of the best in the business.
One of the best in the business, Binksy, and I think we're gonna get used to him calling out in the big stages.
We will.
Right,
move on.
Gemma Hayter. I was very excited to see her qualify. So the women's series finished up. We must mention Beau Graves has won like 86 matches in a row.
81 or 86 in a row.
It's something like that. It's absolutely
Ridiculous.
insane. She's won the last
I did
9
say
events, so she swept through the
God.
women's series again, and she can still play on it next year because she's not in the top 64 when she gets her tour card. So or whatever that
Makes
might be
sense.
top 32, it might be top 64. I can't remember.
Whatever it is.
But she
Sounds
will be
right.
able to play the women's series if she has the time to do that next year. Certainly, we'll be able to play the women's world match play. And actually, it will be interesting to see if she doesn't show up for the women's series events, if she'll even still play in the women's world match play. She might, like
Maybe.
sort of Littler and Van Veen, because she's got the tour card, just basically be ushered in as the number 1 seed. Anyway, Gemma Hayter, but she qualified for her first PDC World
Great to see.
Championship. Finished 6th on the women's series last year, and she has been really impressed with what I've seen from Gemma Hayter so far this
Great.
year, and I think she's a great addition to the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we say it's good to see more women get exposure onto these big stages. So I'm looking forward to her. She's been obviously great on the women's series, done a lot on motors as well, which has been very impressive. So, yeah, debut to the Ali Pally. How good.
And Patrick Kovacs. Who's been in the last couple of Lakeside World Championships, got through the Hungarian Super League, which sees him become the first Hungarian at Alexandra Palace in 17 years. So they've given a spot to that Hungarian side of things. So that is pretty good. WDF World Championship. Well, this is the women's table, and it'll be an interesting one now that we know Beau Graves won't be there. By the way, WDF put out a pretty classy statement, I thought, after Beau Graves announced she was going to Ali Pali and accepting a tour card as well. So that was good of them. Did Hedman, who's been trying to win a world championship for ages and has never quite got over the line. Maybe this will be the year. She's currently sitting on top. Mikuru Suzuki, for mine, though, is probably right up there among the favourites as well, who's got through the regional side of things.
Yep.
So, that's where that stands. Sophie McKinley in there, good to see, and Chrissy Van Kynen. It'll be interesting to see with the WDF. Is the next slide? No, it's something else.
No.
I actually might jump ahead a couple of slides to the WDF World Championship, because they announced their prize money is staying the same and their format is increasing, or some of the formats is increasing up. So the finals will be up. So best of 11 for the Open. Let's just call it the men's, because that's what it is. Best of 7 for the women, best of 7 for the boys, best of 5 for the girls, and Was there any more? Yeah, so the first round of the Open is an increase to best of 5. Boys increase from first to 5 for the semi-finals, first to 7 for the final. The girls are from best of 3 to best of 5 as well. So that's good. And keeping the prize money roughly the same is pretty good as well.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
I'm getting there is a sense that the ADC Global Championship may very well usurp the WDF World Championship at the moment, and there will be certainly guys. The reporting is that there's certainly at least a few guys who will pick Portsmouth over Lakeside, which shows where the ADC is at the moment in their operations.
November, yeah. Exactly. So that's good. Yeah. Lots of interesting things to note there.
Where were we? Let's go back. Premier League, WDF.
Yes.
Rossi Jack Rodriguez, he's free to play again, Josh.
He is. So I mentioned, I think a few episodes back, that he failed a drug test at the Players' Championship 24, which happened on August 25. He was banned by the Darts Regulation Authority on September 16. Appealed the case, got overturned due to some misunderstandings, and now he is free to play. That's what he said on social media. Matt has been fully clarified, and misunderstandings and grievances have been resolved, and he's back on the stage. See you at the Oche. So he is back, ready to play.
There you go. As part of the women's series, Dina Herman, who decided to show up because she usually doesn't actually go to these women's series, she pulled out of a game, which doesn't make any sense to me, given she complains a lot that players like Noah Lynn Van Leuven are taking up spots. But she only went to this event so that she could make a statement should she and Noah Lynn Van Leuven or anybody else clash on here. So I'm not a fan of this way of going about it, Dita Edmund. I don't really agree with you with the principle anyway, from a darts perspective anyway. By the way, that should be a D, not a R in the third letter of her name, by the way, Josh. It's not her, man. Headman. So I don't agree with that notion anyway, and I don't think that's the best way to go about it. You didn't even really need to show up, Dita. Focus on, you're not making obviously Ali Pally, and focus on maybe trying and winning Lakeside eventually.
There you go, it's fixed.
There we go. Well done, Josh. Anything else you wanted to mention on that?
No, just very interesting. This is sort of the politics behind it, I guess, from her point of view. But yeah, just something to note that. It was a thing. It was a thing that happened.
It's a thing that happened. She's been very vocal on that side of things.
If you agree with it or not, that's up to your interpretation, really. So that was that.
We did the WDF Modus.
Yeah, so we had the ADC Windmill Championship Tour. As we
that's right.
So that happened in the morning. Graham Hall was the winner there. He won 5-4 against Kurt Parry. Parry had 6 match darts and he blew it. And Hall won in a deciding leg there. 86 rather, and not too bad on the doubles. We also had week 7 at Modus as well. Jamie Owens was your winner, 4-3 against Jeff Smith. He will not, what's the word?
Go to Champions Week?
No, as in he won it last year.
Yep.
Sorry, last series he won't defend his title, rather.
Exactly.
That's what I was looking for. He won't defend it. So Jamie Owens is in there. 4-3 win, 180, 83 average there. So that's pretty good. But look at this lineup. Absolutely stacked.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
Thornton, Sykes, Boris, Fallon, Paul Hogan, and Matthew Edgar, as we alluded to earlier. So very stacked group alongside Jake Jones, Daniel Larson, George Monios, Scott Baker, Richard Rowlands, and Aaron Gill as well. We have the Group A results after 2 days of action. Boris sits on top alongside Sykes, just based on leg 1 and leg difference there. Larson in 3rd, and then Thornton, Monios, and Jones in 4, 5, and 6. So very interesting little Group A there. And we have the updated weekly winners.
Brown, Duff, Pallett, Walker, Evans, and Owens.
Yes, so we got 5 more weeks to go until Champions Week 12 happens.
We didn't do a double counter fixture this week because we've all been very busy. But
this
you
is
had
what
a
I'm
match,
for.
and well, it's hard to believe it. I was expecting Josh to come through this and win, but full play to his opponent, and 5-5, a draw,
yes,
Josh.
I was 5-2
Splitting the
up.
points. Oh, no.
I was.
Did you blow it?
I did. I blew it. So what happened?
You blew it.
Very quickly. 5-2. I was thinking, okay, I've got 1 point in the bag now. I just need to make sure I
get the second.
I get the second, obviously, but make sure I can keep getting good visits over 100, whatever. And I just choked on those doubles, 5 out of 32. I had a good 17 data, which was all right.
Yep.
So that was notable enough, but yeah, no big 140s as I'm used to, I guess. Well, you said I'm used to that, but no, well played. He was sick with COVID, he mentioned to me, actually.
Oh, wow.
So good to see him do well there. So great comeback from him. So yeah, very good game. Averages weren't the best, but still, his first 9 was very good. Just a tick under 60 there. So
yeah, that is strong.
Very good. We don't have an updated table, but if we do the math based on what we have last week,
you're 3-1-1.
Yes, I'll be 3-1-1. So I'll be sort of sort of probably in that third, fourth area. Again, we don't know. Once I get the table, I'll put that in next week because usually the table comes out on a Thursday, Friday. So luckily last week we were on the Friday.
Okay.
That's why. So yeah, probably around that third, fourth
You
area
still think
again.
is that 136 still the best checkout?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out.
136 is still the best checkout of the week.
So this week, Corey Atwell is my opponent this week, so that'll be good. Where does he come
Cody or
sit
Corey?
based off
Based
last
on
week?
that, he was 0 wins,
Cody.
2 draws, 2 losses.
Okay.
Leg differential -5.
Not sure how he went last week, but keep an eye on that one. So yeah, good. And then obviously Premier League.
ANZ Premier
This
League
week.
goes to Hobart for week 4.
We do.
As we move into the week ahead segment, looking forward to good matches here. Bailey coming, they're all going to be just the implications on this and the 2-point swings that can happen in these quarterfinal wins, or really 4-point swings, is going to be so crucial. But I want to ask you, Josh, European Championship. We usually throw this stuff in the great debate, but we waited all the way to the end. European Championship this weekend. Based on the top 32 on the European Tour, 14 events that occurred this year, which means that Luke Littler and Luke Humphries are in the same quarter, which is extraordinary. And just looking at their quarter 2 and quarter 4 are the one that stand out for me, obviously. Littler, Barney, Wade, Dedeker, Humphries, Ratajski, and the All-Scottish Battle of Anderson, Menzies in one quarter, and then Bunting, Dobie, Nyman, Van Goen in the All-Dutch Clash. Price and Gurney, they'll just leave the security people on the stage.
Yeah.
Like they have the cheerleaders who come to no, the cheerleaders won't be on for that one. They'll have the security they'll have the security people on, and they'll stay on there for the entire match, and they'll usher the guys off. So fireworks are guaranteed there, and Ross Smith played Peter Wright. They also put out an order of play, and I know Bunting plays last on the first day. Who do you reckon is going to be the one lifting the trophy? And I will say, Josh, the European Championship, it brings up some crazy results sometimes. I mean, last year,
people come out of nowhere.
Ed House and Wanamina in a final, no one could have predicted.
Yes, that's right.
So, who do you reckon's going to be the one? I don't have the Lokes.
I don't either.
Featuring in this
No,
one. I reckon
steered
I reckon
away.
we're going to go completely different here.
Okay.
So, who are we thinking, Josh?
Who-
Before you give me a winner,
yeah.
give me some guys that you think can run deep to a quarterfinal, semi-final.
Okay.
Maybe not win it.
All right.
Give me your dark horses, guys
Yes.
to watch.
Sure.
Maybe some first round matches you're interested in
Sure.
as well. Take wherever you want to go with
Sure.
this.
Well, I've got a few games to watch in the list. This obviously
Yep.
Hedder versus Van Veen. That should be pretty
Yes.
good. Hedder needs a win on
He
this
needs
big
a
stage.
win.
He's so desperate for it. He just can't get over that hurdle. Schindler versus Chizzy. That could be alright as well. I think that could be cool.
Maybe, yeah.
And Dirk versus Danny Noppert as well. Danny Noppert's in some good form. We discussed him last week.
Dirk's had an
Dirk's in some
extraordinary
incredible
week.
form. So those were sort of 3 games I like. My dark horse, Nico Springer.
Yes.
He's a man we've been talking about recently. He's been good on the Euro Tour as well. So he's sort of my man that could go, to a quarterfinal, semi-final even potentially based on who he draws and that. In fact, he's got who's got first? Jermaine Watamina. Well, he's good as well. So that could be a really, really interesting clash. What else? I do have my runner-up and my winner. So should I just go straight to that?
You might as well.
All right, runner-up, I have Josh Rock.
Oh, okay.
Now, Rocky, he has been fantastic as we know, but I think the man who will be the winner in Gerwin Price will be the one that will knock it off.
We've
But
nearly
again,
gone the exact same
close?
way. Nearly
Okay.
gone the same way.
But again,
So in terms of
those two guys could win it.
in terms of first round matches, there are a lot of guys here that I think could run deep in the tournament, but they could also lose first round.
They could.
And I'm tooling up, but I reckon Dirk
let's
can
hear
get
it.
through
Yep.
his section, at least make a quarterfinal. I also have Rock making the final. Look, Littler Humphries probably will meet in that quarterfinal
Feature there
spot
somewhere.
anyway. Yes, and what about on this other side of the bracket? I like Ryan Joyce as well to win a couple of matches.
Cool.
I like the spot that he's in, certainly in terms of the bracket. Van Veen is another one as well. I think he can get to a semi-final. But I reckon the winner of this tournament is probably going to go from that bottom section, and it's probably going to be the winner of a particular quarterfinal. You've gone Gerwin Price one way, but I said at the start of the year, I reckon Stephen's going to win a big one, and I reckon back of the week that he's had, he was good on the European Tour without winning.
Yep.
I could see Stephen losing in the first round, and in the second round, and in the quarterfinal, and the semi-final, and the final. But I'm going to pick Stephen to win the tournament.
Okay.
Number 3 seed, had a good year in Europe, and but to be honest, anything could happen this week. We could be talking here next week about a Johnny Clayton and a Nico Springer final. Like that generally wouldn't surprise me, because for whatever reason, this tournament, I think it's the way the European Tour sort of shakes things up. It just comes out with some really crazy sort of events, and the German crowd get behind their side, and the English players don't usually have that crowd advantage that they usually will have. Yeah, so I've got Stephen and Rocky. I think Rocky can do well. But to be completely honest with you, I look at this bottom part of the bracket and I go, Van Veen could win, or he could lose to Clayton in the second round. Heta could I don't have Hayter to win that match against Van Veen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if Dobie beat Bunting, who have to win the tournament. I have Nyman to beat Van Gerwen in the first round, but I wouldn't be surprised if MVG beats him.
Nyman MVG could be a good one. That should be a good game.
Similarly, I've got Van Dyne to beat Danny Noppert in the first round, but I reckon Danny's still a decent chance. Anderson Menzies, I have Anderson only just because I think Menzies isn't playing much better stuff at the moment. So, look, this European Championship, it's wide open as it always feels to be, and I don't really have any. I couldn't possibly come today with a prediction with confidence.
Yeah,
because it's just wide open. I feel this particular tournament and those first round matches, some of them are going to be juicy.
Did you say dark horse or did I miss that?
Dark horse, Dirk.
Dirk
For the dark horse.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I probably did mention that, but I probably didn't explain that very well.
Right. No, but there's some good games. Even I just noticed that Nyman MVG could be really good. Clayton Searle even could be really good. Searle's playing some good stuff as well, and Johnny be good, obviously.
Yep.
It's good stuff
now,
as well.
before we wrap things up, I wanted to mention Stephen, Nathan, Gary Martin, as we know, and Nico Springer mentioned earlier, will be at the Grand Slam. So because Nathan Aspinall won this Euro Tour over Dirk, Nico Springer gets in to the European Tour automatically. I believe if we get, we'll be interested to see who we get with this last couple of finals, because I believe Damon Hayter is in position now to qualify off the Players' Championship finals, but he needs someone to come through the final who is already qualified, I believe, if I'm getting this right. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 players who've automatically qualified by being finalists in TV events. And then we have 10, 11, we'll count. The Challenge Tour finished up this week, so that'll be the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, is that right? Yep. And then the last spots through the 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, so there's 22 spots basically confirmed, if you will. It'll just be, we don't have the Challenge Tour person and we don't have the European winners as well at the moment. So that's 22. So all we need is, if the European Championship is 2 guys who have not made a TV final this year, then Damo is pretty much locked, even though there's 2 European Players Championships afterwards.
Yep.
But I don't think there's anyone there who could possibly usurp Damon, given it's based on a number of Pro Tour events won and then ranking, and he's obviously higher up in rankings. So, and the guys above him are pretty much already qualified anyway. So unless someone goes on and wins a couple of events, 33 and 34. If we don't get 2 unique finalists, that's 2, not just 1, 2 unique finalists, he's pretty much in the Grand Slam, which would be good.
That's cool.
Because he missed it last year, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. So it'd be good to see Damo back at that event. Looking
forward to getting my little present that'll come. I
yes.
got a Damon Hayter shirt for my birthday, which was a couple of days ago, which is nice. So
we're wrapping up our...
If that comes very soon, we're at next episode.
We're wrapping up our episode, and we're wrapping up our time at the Darts Archive using the World Grand Prix. Michael Van Gerwen beat Mervyn King.
Sure did.
King was in a strong position this match, and then he couldn't hit a double to start.
He could not.
And MVG 145 finished brilliantly, winning his first of many PDC televised titles.
Well, winning those 4 out of the 5 next legs after he was up 3-0 really changed the game there. So who have you got next week? Haven't looked, but let's have a look.
Now, I'm not sure. This is probably going to say something like, video unavailable. I assure you it's there, and you can find it. Ross Smith, Michael Smith, 2022 European Championship Final. This shows just how many crazy finals you can throw up, because Ross Smith's in it, and he takes on a fellow Smith. It's a race to 11. Winner of this tournament wins their first big title. So work out who it is. You might already know, but watch the match anyway. Alrighty, that concludes 36. We've hit double 18, Josh. Very well done. Grand Slam of... we've talked about the Grand Slam of Darts, but it's the European Championships that's coming up this weekend. Events. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning our time on the Australian East Coast. So should be... there'll probably be... there might even be evenings... will be evening here, afternoon session there probably as well. I'll have to double check that.
Find out. Check the calendar.
But yeah, fascinating draw for this European Championship. So many. We could come back here with any of these 32 names having won the title, to be completely honest with you. And it'd be great to see someone different win the title. Someone not named Luke.
Come on, Damo.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great to see Damo get a win.
Obviously, the Lukes are unreal at the moment, but it'd be nice to have someone not the Lukes.
Yeah.
I like
if there's one tournament where they aren't going to win it, this feels like the one. They're in the same quarter, so they can only match up in a quarterfinal at latest, being the 4 and 5 seed on the Euro Tour. And And with what this tournament we know can throw from time to time with a Ross Smith final in 2022 and a Ed House Bottomina last year, which is still insane to think about, especially given that the guy who won the event last year isn't in the tournament. So look, it's going to be it's going to be an interesting week. We're interested how Matthew Whitaker goes at Motorset well. How well you go in your next match, Josh. And of course, ANZ Premier League in, where are they again? Hobart. They're down in Tassie. So that should be fun as well. Down there. Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
It's meant to rain today, I hear.
Yeah, but look, we'll have plenty more to discuss next week.
We will, indeed.
And,
thanks for being here.
Yeah, that was a good show. And European Championship, ANZ Premier League, Challenge Tour wrapping up as well this weekend. So plenty going on in the darts world.
As always.
And we look forward to discussing it all next week. Yep, so Challenge Tour's a big thing to look out for that World Championship spot next week.
Yes.
All good then.
All good.
Right.
Well done. Very good
big
show.
And we'll see you for episode 37 sometime next week. This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.